Hello, my dear students. A very warm welcome to all of you in Shri Jayendra Rank Zone. I'm your friend and mentor for the subject Business Economics. In this lecture, we'll continue with Chapter 3, that is Theory of Production and Cost, and in particular, we'll continue with Unit 2, that is Theory of Cost. All the concepts will be covered in the coming series of lectures. This is lecture number 9. Let us continue. This is lecture number 9. The first concept that we are going to discuss today is economies and diseconomies of scale. Economies and diseconomies of scale, that means what? Benefits of large scale production, benefits of large scale production, and shortcomings of disadvantages of large scale production. Disadvantages of large scale production. The first point is the scale of production. Production on a large scale is very important feature and modern industrial society. As a consequence, a size of the business undertaking has greatly increased. Large scale production offers certain advantages to the business which helps in reducing the per unit cost of production. Unit cost or per unit cost. You can also say that average cost is reduced. Average cost of the product is reduced. Average cost of the product is reduced because of this. Economies, that is benefits arising out of large scale production, can be grouped into two categories: internal economies, internal benefits, and external economies, external benefits. If I talk about internal economies are those economies of production which accrue to the firm when it expands its output, so that the cost of production would come down considerably and place the firm in a better position from before to compete in the market effectively and efficiently. I believe you understood. Internal economies. Internal economies arise purely due to indigenous factor relating to efficiency of the entrepreneur in his managerial talent or the type of machinery used or the marketing strategy adopted. Marketing strategy adopted, type of machinery used, the talent of the manager. These economies arise within the firm and are available exclusively to the expanding firm. On the other hand, we can say that external economies are the benefits accruing to each member firm of the industry as a result of expansion of the industry. You can write over here use of greater degree of division of labor and specialized machinery. At higher levels of output are generally termed as internal economies. Okay, let us continue. As we saw that returns to scale increases in the initial stages and after remaining constant. First it increases, then it remains constant. For a while they decrease. The question arises as to why we get increasing returns to scale due to which the cost falls first, and why after a certain point we get decreasing returns to scale due to which the cost rises. The answer is that initially the firm enjoys internal economies of scale, and beyond a point, beyond a certain limit, it suffers from internal diseconomies of scale. So internal economies and diseconomies are of the following main kinds. The types of internal economies and diseconomies. We'll begin with technical economies and technical diseconomies. Let's begin with technical economies and technical diseconomies. Large scale production is associated with economies of superior techniques, the better methods of production. As the firm increases its scale of production, it becomes possible to use more specialized and efficient form of all factors, especially capital equipment and machinery. For producing higher levels of output, there is generally available a more efficient machinery which, when employed to produce a larger output, yield a lower cost per unit of output. The output is more and the per unit of output, per unit average cost of output will be low. The firm is able to take advantages of composite technology, whereby the whole process of production of a commodity is done as one composite only. Secondly, we can say that when the scale of production is increased and the amount of labor and other factor become larger, introduction of greater degree of division of labor and specialization becomes possible, and as a result cost per unit declines because specialization is possible. There are some advantages available to a firm on account of performance of a number of linked processes. The firm can reduce the inconvenience and cost associated with the dependence of other firms by undertaking various processes from the input supply stages of the final output stage. However, beyond a certain point of time, a firm experiences net diseconomies of scale. So this happens because when the firm has reached to a larger size enough to allow utilization of almost all the possibilities of division of labor and employment of more efficient machinery, further increase in the size of plant will bring about high long run cost because of the difficulties of management, and when the scale of operation becomes too large, it will become difficult for the management to exercise control on the management, and proper coordination is won't be easy. So they also face the coordination problems. In technical economies, just right over here, in technical economies, just right over here, more specialized and efficient machinery or equipments can be used to produce a large output. yields a lower cost per unit of output. Let us see B point. Introduction of a greater degree of division of labor and specialization leads to reduction in cost per unit. Okay? Write about diseconomies, the technical diseconomies. Further increase in the plant size will lead to high long run cost because of difficulties of management, coordination, and control. Let's continue with another term, and that is managerial economies and managerial diseconomies. Managerial economies and managerial diseconomies. Managerial economies refers to reduction in managerial cost when output increases. Specialization of division of labor can be applied to management. It becomes possible to divide its management into specialized departments under specialized personals such as production manager, sales manager, finance manager, etc. If the scale of production increases further, each department can be further subdivided. Example, sales can be split into separate sections such as advertising, exports, customer service, etc. Since individual activities come under the supervision of specialists, management efficiency and productivity will be greatly improved. Decentralization of decision making and mechanization of managerial functions further enhance the efficiency and productivity of managers. Thus, we can say that specialization of management enables large firms to achieve a reduction in managerial cost. However, at a scale of production increases beyond a certain limit, managerial diseconomies set in. Communication at different levels, such as between the managers and the communication between laborers and among the managers, become very, very difficult, resulting in what? Delay in decision making. Delay in decision making and implementation of decisions already made. Management finds it difficult to exercise control and bring the coordination among the various departments. The managerial structure becomes a very more complex and is affected by greater bureaucracy, red tapeism, lightening of communication lines, etc. All these affects the efficiency and productivity of management, and that works as a diseconomy for the firm. That acts as a diseconomy for the firm. Let us continue. Just write these 2 points about managerial economies. Decentralization of decision making process enhances further the efficiency and productivity of managers and productivity of managers. Specialized functional areas, specialized functional areas like production, purchasing, purchasing, marketing, finance, etc., can be created. Can be created. Each department, each department can also be can also be further subdivided. Let's write a point about managerial diseconomy. It may be difficult for managers to exercise control and coordination among various departments. Managerial structure becomes more complex and leads to delays in information flow due to lengthening of communication lines. Communication lines. Let's continue with commercial economies and diseconomies. Commercial economies and diseconomies. So basically, commercial economies means it's about mass production. Mass production creates the need for bulk purchases of raw material and leads to lower the prices being paid for such bulk purchases. Selling cost could be minimized and existing staff lower advertising cost per unit could be availed. Let us see over here. Production of large volume of goods require a large amount of materials and components. A large firm is able to make bulk orders for material and components and enjoy lower prices for them. Economies can also be achieved in marketing of the product. If the sales staff is not being worked to full capacity, additional output can also be sold to a little or no extra cost. Moreover, we can say that large firms can benefit from economies of advertising because only once we need to do the advertising and all the stock could be sold in the market because we have ample stocks. Supposingly, if there is a positive demand in the market, as the scale of production increases, advertising cost will fall. In addition, a large firm may also be able to sell its byproduct and processes is profitably, something which might be unprofitable for a small firm. There are also economies associated with the transport and storage because at a particular point of time we can transport ample quantity of goods from one place to another. These economies becomes diseconomies after an optimum scale. For example, advertisement expenditure and other marketing overheads will increase more than proportionately after a point of time, after the optimum scale. Just write along with me. Mass production creates the need for bulk purchases. Purchases of what? Purchases of raw material and components. And leads to lower prices being paid for such bulk purchases. If I talk about selling cost can be minimized. Selling cost can be minimized with the existing sales staff, lower advertising cost, lower advertising cost, per unit, etc. A large firms may be able to sell may be able to sell its byproducts also its byproducts also. This might be unprofitable for a small firm. The reason is why? Because the byproducts also needs to be processed and further processing it's not possible for a small firm to do it. Write about diseconomies, commercial diseconomies. Higher quantities of raw materials may have to be purchased at higher prices. Purchased at higher prices since there is an increase in the demand in the market for that raw material. Let's continue ahead with financial economies and financial diseconomies. Financial economies means what? The larger firms have financial benefits because they can get finance easily from the banker or financial institutions. It is quite easy for the large firms to get finance, to get credit facility, to get overdraft facility from the banker. It may also happen that the public wants to invest in shares, so the larger firms can offer shares on the stock exchange, and people know that if they whenever they want to sell the shares, it could be readily sold on the stock exchange at any point of time. So it is very easy for the large firms to raise money at a very lower cost as compared to small firms. I believe you understood. If I talk about financial diseconomies, it could be seen as what happens after a certain point of time. These kind of big firms, big fat firms, they depend upon more external sources of finance, and because they had dependent upon loans and credit, and that is why the rate of interest charged could be so high, then this could lead to diseconomies or disadvantages of scale. Let us see it over here. A large firms had an advantage over a small firms in matters related to procurement of finance, taking finance or opting for finance for its business activities. It can, for instance, offer better security to bankers and avail advances with greater ease. On account of goodwill enjoyed by the large firms, investors have greater confidence in them and therefore would prefer their shares, which can be readily sold on the stock exchange. A large firms can thus raise capital at lower cost. However, these costs of raising finance will rise more than proportionately after an optimum scale of production. This may happen because relatively greater dependence on external finances. So a large firm should not be so dependent upon external finances that they leads to diseconomies of scale. Just right over here, a large firm can offer a better security to banker, raise money at lower cost, since they have built confidence in the investors, or you can write since investors have confidence in it and prefer shares which can be readily sold on the stock exchange whenever they want, readily sold on the stock exchange whenever they want. Let's see the next point, that is risk bearing economies. Risk bearing economies and risk bearing diseconomies. It is said that the large business and diverse and multi production capability. Let's begin it again. It is said that a large business with diverse multi production capability is in a better position to withstand economics ups and downs in the market, and therefore we can say that enjoys economies of risk bearing. They can bear more risk because they have more financial capability, they are having more strength, they are having more equipments. However, risk may increase if diversification, instead of giving a cover of economic disturbances, increase these. Okay, just write these two small points. A large firm is capable of bearing more risk. However, the firm the firm risk may increase if diversification instead of giving a cover to economic disturbance increases the risk. Okay, let us continue and see external economies and external diseconomies. External diseconomies of scale. Internal economies and diseconomies enjoyed by a firm on account of use of greater degree of division of labor and specialized machinery of output. They are internal in the sense that they accrue to the firm due to its own efforts. Beside internal economies, there are external economies also, which are very important for the firm. We can say that external economies and diseconomies are those economies and diseconomies, benefits externally and benefits internally, which accrue to the firm as a result of expansion in the whole output, expansion of output in the whole industry, and that are not dependent upon output of individual firms. Not dependent upon output of individual firms. They are external in the sense that they accrue to firms not out of their internal situation but from outside due to expansion in the industry. These are available to one or more of the firms in the form of, we'll be seeing it. We'll be seeing it. Just right over here, external economies means advantages externally, disadvantages externally. Okay, just write one point over here. External economies and diseconomies accrue to firms accrue to firms as a result of expansion in the output, expansion in the output of whole industry, and it is listed over here. Let's see the first point. Cheaper raw materials and cheaper equipment is available. The expansion of an industry may result in exploration of new and cheaper source of raw materials, cheaper source of machinery, and other types of capital equipments. Expansion of an industry results in greater demand of various kinds of materials and equipments required by it. The firm can procure these on a large scale at competitive prices from other industries. This reduces their cost of production and consequently the prices of their output. Prices of their output. You can write over here. This makes it possible. This makes it possible. This makes it possible to purchase on a large scale on a large scale from other industries from other industries. This reduces their cost of production, the cost of production, and hence their prices. Hence their prices. Understood? Let's see the second point that talks about technological external economies. Technological external economies. When the whole industry expands, it may result in the discovery of new technical knowledge, new innovations, and in accordance with that, the use of improved and better machinery and processes is possible. This will change the technical coefficient of production and enhance the productivity of the firm, the efficiency of the firm, and reduces their cost of production. So per unit, we would be saving the per unit cost, basically the average cost the company will be saving. Just write because of technical external economies, the average cost of production per unit will reduce and the quality of product or quality of production will become better because of improved technology used improved technology used for the production purpose for the production purpose. I believe you understood till here. Let us continue and see development of skilled laborers. Development of skilled laborers. When an industry expands in this area, the laborers in the area are well accustomed with the different productive processes happening in the industry. They will learn a lot, and because they tend to learn a good deal from this experience, as a result, with the growth of the industry in that area, the pool of trained laborers is developed, which has a favorable effect on the level of productivity and even the cost of the firms in that industry, because a trained laborer will make less wastage, he will be efficient, he will be obedient, he will be uh, take less leaves, he will be less absent to the firm in the firm, and his productivity level will automatically increase because division of labor is also possible. I believe you understood. Just write, a skilled labor will do less wastage and work faster as compared to unskilled labor. So that leads to savings of cost, and hence the firm will be able to minimize the cost per unit average cost per unit. Let's see the fourth point. Point number 4, growth of ancillary industries. Growth of ancillary industries. Basically, what happens when a large industry is developed in some area, the small industries automatically develop in that area that works as the ancillary industry, that make tools for that industry or spares for that industry, and this will lead to a great help to the main industry, as well as a level of employment is also generated in that area. Just take a look. Expansion of industry encourages the growth of number of small ancillary industries which specialize in the production and supply of what? Raw material, tools, machinery, components, repair services. Input prices go down in the competitive market, and the benefits of it accrue to all the firms in the form of reduction in the cost of production. Likewise, new units may come up for processing and recycling of waste product. This will tend to reduce the cost of production in general. This will lead to reduce the cost of production in general. The main industry gets several benefits because of development of ancillary industry, development of ancillary industry, employment generation is also possible due to development of ancillary industry in that area. So many of the people gets employed because ancillary industry hire people to work, hire workers to work, managers, maybe new investors come up in that area, and they see because in this area, in this location, the laborers are skilled, the laborers are efficient, the laborers are obedient. There is already the development of ancillary industries are there, so it would be easier for them to do business in that area, and that is why they'll be able to survive. Let us see point number 5 now. Better transportation and marketing facilities. The expansion of industries results from entry of new firms that may make possible the development of efficient transportation and marketing network. These will greatly reduce the cost of production of the firm by avoiding the need of establishing and running these services by themselves. Similarly, communication system may get modernized, resulting in better and speedy information flow. I believe you understood. Just write a line. Speedy information flow is possible due to development of communication channels, better communication channels, better communication channels. Okay, let's continue. Economies of information. So, necessary information regarding technology, labor, products may be easily and cheaply made available to the firms on account of publication of information booklets, journals, bulletins by industry association and government in public interest. However, external economies may seize if there is certain disadvantages which may neutralize the advantages of expansion of an industry. So over here in this point we are talking about external diseconomies, external diseconomies, external diseconomies. We call them external diseconomies. External diseconomies are disadvantages that originate outside the firm, especially in an input market. An example of external diseconomies is rise in various factor prices. When an industry expands and requirement of various factor of production is there, such as raw materials, capital goods, skilled laborers, increases, increasing demand for inputs put pressure on the input markets. This may result in increase in the prices of factor of production like laborers, raw material, land, especially when they are short in supply. Moreover, we can say that too many firms in the industry at one place may also result in higher transportation cost, higher marketing cost, and higher pollution control cost in that particular location. The government may also, through its location policy, prohibit or restrict the expansion of industry in a particular place. Many a times it happens that government also puts some restrictions that some of the industry cannot be able to work in this area. Government puts restrictions that some of the industry can't enter into this area because that will increase the pollution level and that will make that area polluted, and that will be in a the society will be in a very adverse situation. So basically from this paragraph we take in 3 points. Number one, rise in factor prices. Rise in factor prices. We also seen that the cost may increase, so higher costs. Too many industries will enter into a particular area. The cost of transportation, the cost of marketing, the pollution control cost will rise. And at last we can say that government will put a lot of restrictions. Government restrictions the company needs to handle the government restrictions also. Okay, so we'll keep it till here. Thank you.